Hello and welcome to She Makes News. It's Friday, April 26. I'm your host, Kimberly Finesse, and this is your weekly wrap-up for regional women in Australia. Our first story contains details concerning domestic violence. It's not for little ears. If you or someone you know is experiencing or at risk of experiencing domestic, family or sexual violence, you'll find a list of support services in our show notes. Every bird counts. That's the message being spread today by domestic violence advocates Birds in the Bush. Founder Vanessa Vazquez said Birds Day is about showing support for a violence-free community around Orange and the Central West New South Wales. They are also working to engage men in the conversation through initiatives like Blokes for Birds, encouraging them to be active allies in the fight against men's violence.
As part of our campaign for awareness and to be a community regional leader in domestic violence and showing the community and the larger community that domestic violence is an issue here and it won't be tolerated, we have launched merchandise. So we have shirts that say "Every bird counts," and that's a reference to both the dead bird count. So unfortunately, we know that one woman every 9 days is killed in Australia. And it's also a reference to birds more generally, that every woman in our community matters. And we have these shirts so that victim survivors in our community will see people wearing them and will realise that the people who are wearing these shirts are a safe place for them. So should they ever need to reach out, they will know that they are safe. We also have Blokes for Birds shirts. Part of this year's push has been how we get men to participate in this conversation. We've had a huge following for our events in the last few years by women, and now we want to see our numbers buoyed by the men in our community. We have brilliant men in our community who are our greatest supporters, and we want them to join us as active allies. So Blokes for Birds, we want them to don on their shirts or our birds earrings or bird brooches as a show of solidarity, because we are a community united against men's violence.
This week, as the Birds campaign kicks off to shed light on domestic violence, the alleged murder of Forbes' mother, Molly Ticehurst, by an ex-partner, underscores its urgency and relevance. Vanessa says the death of Molly, along with Christy Armstrong in 2023, have left the community searching for solutions with what many perceive as a broken system.
Yeah, look, I think our community is understandably angry and frustrated by Molly's passing, particularly because we know that she was protected by a ADVO, an apprehended domestic violence order, which ultimately failed to protect her. And I think the community is despairing what we need to do next and how we can work within what they see as a difficult and broken system. It comes almost a year from another local woman from Molong, Christy Armstrong, who was killed, and that greatly affected our community. Her ex-partner is charged with murder, and we're waiting that outcome. But I think those two local women who died as a result of what appears to be violence from ex-partners is deeply saddening for our community. We want to be able to do better for these women and for their children that they leave behind. We know that Molly's survived by a 5-year-old little boy and Christy is survived by 3 little girls.
Vanessa established Birds in the Bush in response to the region's domestic violence rates, which are double the state average. Vanessa highlighted that with over 65% of incidents going unreported, the actual figures are likely much higher.
So the Central West of New South Wales has double the state average of domestic violence incidents and their reported domestic violence incidents. So we know that over 65% of incidents are unreported, so our figures must be much higher. So we feel that it is a huge problem for our region.
Birds in the Bush is a volunteer organisation. It hosts an annual event to raise awareness and fundraise for local domestic violence services. This year's event on May 6 with guest speaker Yelena Dokic sold out in just 6 hours, indicating the community's strong support for the cause.
On May 2nd, we have Yelena Dokic coming to Orange, and she will be appearing before a strong crowd of 450 people. Our event sold out in just 6 hours when the tickets were released. So it's a huge event. We're looking forward to having a conversation with Yelena Dokic and her journey with her father's violence and growing up on the international tennis circuit. it's going to be a enjoyable event where we can all come together and make a difference. Yelena Jokic has kindly given us her towel by Salabanca, who just won the Australian Open, signed towel to auction off. And we have some other great auction items and raffles. So we're hoping people come, give generously. The raffle and auction are both online, so people can be buying tickets and supporting the cause that way if they're unable to come to the event.
Last year's event with Rosie Batty raised $100,000, and similar goals are set for this year, with funds supporting the Orchard Refuge, the only refuge in Orange for women and children escaping violence.
The money initially in our first few events, we started from pretty humble fundraising. We started with $5,000 in the first year, $30,000 in the second year, and then $100,000 in the third year. And on the fourth year, let's hope we can at least hit that $100,000 again. So far, all our funding has gone to the Orchard, which is the refuge for women and children in Orange. And it's the only refuge here in Orange. And in this last year, they've housed 118 women and 112 children escaping family violence. This is a little different. We have multiple recipients. So we have a family from Cowra via the Country Education Fund, and we're going to be giving a bursary for education of adult children who are attending university in TAFE and unfortunately have had a traumatic upbringing that involves domestic violence. And then another family, so Christy Armstrong's children, we're funding a dance scholarship for those children as well, because the little girls dance a lot and dancing was a huge part of Christy and our memory of Christy as a very proud dance mum. So we want to provide the guardians, the girl's grandparent, we want to provide them with some income so that we can help share in the costs of continuing doing what they love and what Christy loved to see them do.
You can listen to a special extended interview with Vanessa, who spoke with She Makes News about the impactful work of Birds in the Bush in supporting victims of domestic violence and advocating for change. Now for some news headlines. Over the next 3 days, Australians are coming together to call for an end to gender-based violence. Find your nearest rally through What Were You Wearing?, an Indigenous-led not-for-profit organisation fighting to end sexual violence. Dirty Jane's is opening its third store today, a brand new vintage emporium in Orange. You'll find over 60 small businesses under one roof. Dirty Jane's Orange is open 7 days a week between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 98 Byng Street, Orange. Grampians Grape Escape will take over Halls Gap from May 3 to 5. Celebrate the best makers and producers of the Grampians and Victoria with a ticket to this iconic wine, food and music festival. If your little one is a George the Farmer fan, get ready for a new song and video all about cotton. George the Farmer creator Simone Kane has been working with Cotton Australia to produce a new farming adventure about Australian cotton. Gippsland Jersey is inviting baristas to come visit one of its farms in Gippsland in celebration of Barista Day on May 6. Co-founder Sally Jones said baristas will learn more about Jersey milk, the process it takes to get milk into a bottle and then into a coffee cup, and why their farmers are being paid a fair price to produce quality 100% Jersey milk. Kahuna Co, a co-working space in rural Victoria, has desk and office space available. You can set up for a couple of hours, a few days while in town, or something more permanent for a new business or outreach service. That's your weekly wrap-up for Regional Women. You'll find links in our show notes for anything that's been mentioned. If you'd like to hear your news, share it with us on Instagram @SheMakesNews or via email shemakesnews@gmail.com.